It's Mina. I hope everyone is doing well. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the time that I went clubbing when I was underage. But I just want to start off this video to say that I have been trying to record videos for like the last 2 weeks about different subjects related to colorism, identity, and a few other subjects that I had recorded in July 2023, but I have to re-record them. So I am going to try to do those videos later when I'm not near my bedtime, so I don't get long-winded. I tend to get long-winded when it's at my bedtime. So I'm gonna try to make this video short and sweet and get to those other videos throughout the week or by the weekend or something. Okay, so the way I started going clubbing underage. So let's see. When I was 15, I moved to my second high school. I got a group of friends associated with one of my extracurricular activities from my first high school. And then I started hanging out with those friends from my extracurricular activity that I continued into until I was like 19. And I also started hanging out at a community place in Manhattan with some kids that I met connected to my Queens extracurricular activity. So yeah, I went to high school in Queens. My second high school was in Queens. My extracurricular activity was across the way from, okay, my high school was in wow, I should have brought my map. My high school was at the bottom of Queens, the southernmost part of Queens, and where I did my extracurricular activity was near the top of Queens, near the north central part of Queens. And so it took a while to commute there. And what was the other thing I was going to say? And then where I would hang out with my newest friends would be in Manhattan, which was like a 30-40 minute train ride from that part of Queens to Manhattan, but I usually would go on the weekend, so it would sometimes be from Brooklyn to Manhattan. Anyway, I was long-winded. So my Manhattan friends and I, we would be part of this community group that did different events for young people in our community. And so they would throw us parties, they would throw us celebrations, we would have youth meetings to go to associate with each other, and then we would just hang out after we were done with the community center. We would go hang out with each other and eat, or hang out at the pier and just talk and walk and all that stuff. And one year they threw us a party when I was 16. It was just some random just party that they wanted to throw us, and I started dancing for the first time with my friend, who's since passed away, but my friend Michel. We were dancing, and it was my first time dancing in public. I had done a few little things in middle school that were just like dance related. People would come into our school and teach us dance stuff, but this was the first time that I was like freestyling, dancing to my own drums while they were playing music, and it was like some kind of techno music. I love techno music, but it was the first time that I had ever danced. Growing up with siblings, like, we never really like danced except for fake ballroom dancing at home when we would watch ballroom dancers. Anyway, so me and my friend Michelle, we were dancing spontaneously to this music that they were playing, and I was having so much fun. And that was when my enjoyment of dancing was ignited, because I didn't know that I liked to dance at that point. I just knew that I was a writer at that point. So I was just like, oh my goodness, okay, I like dancing. So thankfully they did throw us multiple parties and gatherings where they would play music and have food for us at different youth community groups that I would go to, connected to the first one in Manhattan. I was part of by the time I left high school, I was part of, I don't know, 4 different community centers and a playwriting group as well. So I had like a lot of extracurricular activities and places to hang out outside of my home. And so I spent a lot of time. So one year, I was 16 at the time, but that particular year, my friends and I don't remember which friends I went with. We had friends when I first started hanging out at the Manhattan community group who were like 20, 21, and the rest of us were 16. It was mostly women that we hung out with, but we also had a few guy friends. Um, so we mostly hung out with the women, and the younger group of us would stick together more. So one year, we decided we were going to try to go to a club. It was going to be an all women's club only. And some of the women's clubs are very strict. So they didn't let us in. But the first club I ended up going into was a co ed club. And it was like, it played a lot of techno music. They had a huge, humongous dance floor. It did not get filled up. And they had an upstairs where people would drink or smoke their cigarettes and hang out and talk. And I think you could order food. But when I was 16, I used my real ID to get into that club because I didn't have money to pay for a fake ID. I didn't want to lie about my age because I just didn't really care to. Um, Growing up, I never wanted to be older than I was, and I kept that mentality all throughout my life. I don't lie about my age, but I don't tell people my age. But yeah, at that time I was using my real ID from high school to get into this club. So the first club I ended up going to was a co-ed club, and it was mostly straight people. And I even heard a lady in a bathroom saying if she had met any gay women, she was gonna be really upset. And I was just like, oh, I better stay away from her. So yeah, so I went to a co-ed club at that time, and I think I went to that club like maybe twice. I told them that I was not gonna drink. I just wanted to dance, and I never underage drank. Like, I had sipped alcohol before I was 21. The two times that I sipped alcohol when I was 10 and I was 19, my mom let me sip wines, and that's not usual. And then when I was 16 and 13, 16, I was with my peers in my neighborhood, and I sipped a beer. I despise beer. When I was 13, I sipped a beer with a family friend, and I despise beer then too, even more. But yeah, that was my first time. So I sipped alcoholic beverages when I was underage, but I never drank to excess. I never even had my own glass or can of an alcoholic beverage because I wasn't interested in it. And it was basically because I grew up in the age where we did the DARE program, which was basically police officers coming into the schools teaching us to say no to drugs, say no to alcohol. And so I kind of kept that in my head all the time. I never wanted to be involved with either of those things to excess, and I did not want to do drugs. So I was like, no, thank you. So that's the mindset that I had when I was growing up. Most of my friends in middle school were like that as well. We had that mindset up until high school, and I kept that mindset. So anyway, so I was able to get into the club at least twice, that co-ed club, and with my real ID, told them I was just gonna dance, I was gonna hang with my friends, and it was a mixed group of us. It was some guys and some girls of us that went to that club, and we didn't go again because I was like, I don't have time for people to be like hostile towards me, for like who I liked at the time. So I was just like, ooh, I'm not gonna go there again. So then my friends and I decided to go to only women's clubs, and it was just my women friends who were older. So we started going to women only clubs when I was underage. I used my real ID again. I told them I was not going to drink because that was not my thing to do. I just wanted to dance. I wanted to hang out with my friends. And there were some clubs that were women only that would absolutely not let us in. There were some women only bars that would absolutely not let us in with our real ID. So sometimes our friends would separate. The older ones would actually go, and the younger ones of us would just hang out in the street and do whatever we wanted to do. Um, and then the other times we would get to go in with our real ID. So I had a lot of fun times dancing and walking around, talking to people, meeting people, hanging out with my friends, drinking water. So I just had a lot of good times doing that, and I'm trying to figure out if by the time I'm trying to figure out. I think I was going to the club up until I was like 18, 19, underage. But the thing is, I didn't do it frequently. I didn't do it every weekend. I probably did it less than once a month, maybe even, because I didn't want to take a risk of like going too often. Also, you had to pay. It was sometimes $10, $5 to get in. So I didn't always have the money for that, but I just didn't want to go frequently because I didn't want to make it like a thing that I had to do to have fun. I enjoyed like chilling and walking around at the pier with my friends, so I did that a lot too. But yeah, I did enjoy going to the clubs. I did go underage with real ID until I was 19, and I just enjoyed it. Like I would go into the bar area and play the jukebox. Some of the clubs had like DJs, and then jukeboxes, and some of them just had DJs. But the clubs that had jukeboxes, I would like play one of Janet Jackson's songs in there, and I would dance by myself. And then my friends would come and get me, and we would talk and we would dance and whatever. But yeah, I managed to do that. My friends, even though I did not drink and we were always taking public transportation, my friends, some of them did drink underage, and I don't know, they must have had fake ID for that, but it wasn't my goal to drink at all, so I did not. But let me see, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so I didn't go to my prom because I was all danced out, and I was not close with I was not close with the kids in my high school. Like I was cool with a lot of them, but I wasn't close enough that I wanted to go, and it was going to be like a whole extra bit of organizing, personal organizing and dress shopping for me to go, and I was just like it's not even worth it. Like I remembered going to a dance when I was in middle school, and the way all the kids danced on each other, I was like, mm-mm, I don't want nobody doing that to me in my high school because I don't know any of these people like that, and I'd rather go clubbing with my friends if I need to go dancing somewhere. So yeah, I ended up skipping my high school prom. Never been to any prom before, but I definitely been clubbing before I was 21 years old, and all of these clubs were supposed to be 21 and older, and I'm of course not going to say any of their names. And one thing I will say about clubs, like I went to women's only clubs by the time up until I was 21 and living in New York City. Like when I would commute back home to New York City, I would go to the club with my real ID when I was actually 21, and I would go to the same women's only club. But when I would go clubbing where I lived during my college years, it was co ed, and I did not like the music that they played. It was a lot of rap and hip hop, and the music that they used to play at my old clubs, it would be like techno and Sade and house music, and that's a lot more fun to dance to than rap music is. So I didn't like the music that they played at the club in my college town. So I've been to a club in New York City's new clubs in New York City. Been to a club in my college town, and I've also been to a club in Houston. And the one thing I learned, I never had any bad situations with any of my friends, like leaving me, one of my friends got overly drunk once, but I never had any problems with my friends leaving me to go hang out with someone else, or leaving me just to leave. Like we always stay together to the end. If somebody wanted to leave, we would usually leave together, and we never had any issues with like weird people sketching us out and making us uncomfortable. But one thing I did learn when I went to the Houston club, I went with one of my good friends from college, and just because I showed a little bit of interest in men or in guys when I was in college, a few of my friends started to feel like, oh, like maybe she'll date one or whatever. The thing is, I don't like dancing with people that I'm not interested in dancing with. Like, I like to dance by myself. I prefer to dance by myself. Dance with someone else interrupts me unless I'm dancing with one of my friends. So when I went to the club in Houston, a guy had asked me to dance. I was wearing a dress that I felt very uncomfortable in. It was my friend's dress, and this guy asked me to dance, and I said no. And my friend was like, "You should," and I was like, "But I don't want to." And she was like, "But you should." Don't let anybody tell you who to dance with. If you go to clubs and you don't want to dance with somebody, don't dance with them. Your friends should not be telling you who to dance with, whether they know who you like or don't like. I did not go to a club to dance with a man. I went to the club to dance with my friends or by myself, and I wasn't even dancing at the time, I think. But the fact is, like, whether somebody asks me to dance or not, if I say no, it's no. And I don't go to clubs as a Christian right now at all. Like, I'm not interested in them. But back then, I did not want to dance with someone I didn't want to dance with. And one kind of funny side story is the women only club that I had gone to. Somebody had asked to dance with me, and I was like, yeah. And she didn't realize that I had said yes, so she had walked away because I had turned my back to her to keep dancing. But I thought she was gonna just dance. But she walked away because she didn't realize I had said yeah, and that I was like inviting her to just join me instead of facing her. I should have. Anyway, but yeah, so that was funny because she didn't hear me and she just went on to do what she did. Um, but yeah, if someone asks me to dance and I want to dance with them, I'll say yes. If someone asks me to dance with them and I don't, I'm gonna say no. And I know there's some women who have fears about saying no to men and stuff for the reasons that we see in the news, but back then I didn't even think about that. If I didn't want to dance with someone, I was gonna say no because I like my personal space too much to invite someone in that I wasn't going to invite in the first place. So I was just like, no. But anyway, that's my experience with going clubbing underage. I loved it. I am glad I didn't have to pay money to get a fake ID. I loved being the age that I was growing up. I never wanted to get older. I hated the idea of having to become a full grown adult. And I am a full grown adult. And it's a thing. But yeah, so I really did enjoy clubbing back in the day. The only thing I didn't like was all the cigarette smoke before they banned cigarettes in New York City clubs. Getting choked up by cigarette smoke in any of the clubs that I went to was like the worst thing because sometimes I would go home and be too tired to like clean myself up, and I would just go to bed like that and then like wake up the next day and wash myself and have to wash my hair and everything. So that wasn't fun. But I did enjoy clubbing at the time that I was doing it. What was the other thing I was going to say about it? Oh, wait, what was the other thing? Oh, and I would stay out until the wee hours of the morning. The first two times that I went to a club when I was 16, I got home at 4 o'clock in the morning the next day. And then after that, I would only stay out till like maybe 2 o'clock, maybe not 12 o'clock, definitely maybe like 2, 1 o'clock. And I wouldn't tell my mom that I was going clubbing, I don't think. I don't think she really knew that I went clubbing. Um, yeah, I don't really think she knew. And I would just tell her, I'm hanging out with my friends. I'll be home late. I won't be home. And then I would like sneak in the house. So there would be kids that would sneak out of their house, and I would be sneaking into my house really quiet. So that was kind of funny and opposite something that I did. But yeah, that's the end of my story. I hope it made sense. Let me know if you have any questions. Just say no to anyone who offers you anything. Don't dance with whoever you don't want to dance with. Use your real ID. Don't fake it if you can help it. And have fun and stay safe. But yeah, I personally don't go clubbing. I haven't been clubbing since I got baptized as one of Jehovah's Witnesses since my early 20s. So, wait, I forgot that. Sorry. So I hadn't been to a club since I got baptized in my early 20s, but I did go one time after I got baptized with one of my best friends from college the year after I got baptized because I went to hang out with him and some of our college mates. So I did go with him. I forgot about that. That was ages ago. Not in my 20s anymore. But yeah, that was ages ago, and I still had fun that day, and it was just a chill night. I think it was more like a bar kind of club, and we were playing, me and my best friend at the time were playing foosball because that was our game in college to play. So we were playing foosball in the middle of a club bar area, and I was having way too much fun. But yeah, that's the end of my story, the end of my video. I hope that made sense. But yeah, yeah. I love dancing, but I could use all the extra, what's the word? Training, practice classes of dancing that could help me dance better. But anyway, dancing's so fun. Okay, that's the end of my video. I will talk to y'all later. Have a good night. Have a good week. Bye.